Good afternoon and a warm welcome on behalf of World Trade Center Amsterdam Business Club and the Social Club. Everything you always wanted to know about the crypto world but were afraid to ask. That is a little bit the theme of today's Economic Forecast 2022 with already two guests at my table waiting. I will introduce them in a minute, but first of all, since it's a webinar and it's live and it's interactive, we have a poll question for you standing ready, and that's the following. My knowledge on today's topic is that one, like moi, a little bit average? Is it 2, I've got no knowledge at all? Or is it 3, I'm an expert? Let's see what the answer is. In a minute, I will see the answers here on my screen. The first 20-30 minutes of this talk show I will spend with my first two guests, and they will share their insights on the crypto market, and we discuss the relevance of it for you. And they will introduce themselves in a minute. And in the second half of this webinar, we have special guest Michaël from the Poppe at the table. And with more than 500,000 followers on Twitter and more than 160,000 subscribers, my dream, on YouTube, he must be nothing less than an absolute authority in the crypto world. Michaël will show us how you can look at the market and start investing in a clever way. And concrete, we will dive into things like tooling and stuff like that. Again, this talk show is interactive and questions may be asked. And if you are looking around your screen, looking for the button to click to ask your questions, if you don't see it, just hover over the video with your mouse, and then at the bottom right corner, I must say at the bottom right corner, there you see the button appear, and there the questions may be asked during the show, and our moderators will make a selection of those questions that will be asked and answered by my guests. If I look at the answers of the poll question, I don't see them yet. Things are refreshing here, but as soon as the results come in, because I'm very curious about the level of expertise of you viewers, then I will see them coming in. Well, I hope it's going to work. Philipine. Hi.
Yeah. Hi.
Hi, Philipine. You have a history in sports, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I used to be an Olympic sailor.
And from coming out for the Netherlands or for Curaçao?
For Curaçao. Well,
Why?
actually for the Dutch Antilles first,
Yeah.
and then later on for Aruba.
And but what do you have with the Dutch Antilles?
I grew up there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so my parents still live there. So I grew up
Curaçao.
on Curaçao, yes.
How is no? There it is. Okay. Yeah. Bart, welcome.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. One question. How did you enter the financial world and especially the crypto world?
Yeah, so I have a background in business.
Yeah.
And I started as working for a venture capital firm, investing in startups and in scale-ups, and I was very interested in investing myself and also in cryptos. And I decided to make my job out of it. So I work now at AMDAX.
As business development, you do more than that, right?
Yeah, so I'm responsible.
It didn't fit in the title.
No, it didn't. No, I'm responsible for the business development, our sales and our account management. So everything related to clients. Okay.
Still no poll answers in my screen. I get some advice from the moderator. Paul, click and vote. Yeah, that's what I did. There it is. Thank you very much, Maxime. Okay, there we go. What do you think? Looking at if we look at the viewers, World Trade Center, business clubs, so professionals, finance, lawyers, people like that. What do you think? What is their knowledge?
I think option 1.
What?
So, yeah, average.
What?
Yeah. No knowledge at all is a bit absolute, and the other one as well. So I think people will be in the middle.
Well, good for you. That's 75% says moi. So that's 3/4. 17%. So that's almost 1/5. No knowledge at all.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And 8% I'm an expert. So keep that in mind when you give your answers, Bart.
They can send me an email. I would like to get in contact with them.
With the experts?
Yeah.
Because they can start working for you.
No. I think I don't think you can consider yourself an expert in this field because it's there are so many different fields that come together. It's like the economy, monetary studies, cryptography, IT, internet networks.
So I thought you were an expert.
Of course, but my point is it's like the Dunning-Kruger effect, right? So once you put some hours in, then you start to notice like how much you don't know.
Yeah. So be careful to call yourself an expert. That's what you're saying.
Oh no, people can do that, but
Yeah, yeah.
I think there is always something to learn, and that's what makes this whole sector so beautiful.
Yeah, and challenging.
Yeah.
Let's pick some terms and some words and try to explain what they are. Just to start a little bit simple for all those people that say more. What makes Bitcoin different if we compare it with, like, the euro or the dollar or gold, for example?
Yeah. So I think what we always try to explain is that in the current markets, in the current world, there's it's like you can see like a pyramid or like a trifecta or something. So on one side you have old money, dollars, euros, and other fiat currencies, right? And central banks and governments are really trying to make a digital version of those, right? So they are making central bank digital currencies. China is trying that, and the ECB is finishing off some kind of research stage. So that's one part of the trifecta, to call it that way. Then on the other side, you have tech companies. We all know Facebook, and they tried with a couple of other tech companies and other companies to make their own digital currency.
I read today that they stopped the project, right?
That's. I also read that. That's also. I don't know if that's confirmed already, but still, Doesn't really matter if Facebook is stopping that. It's the way the market is moving. Exactly. Because I think closer to home there are a lot of. For instance, game developers who are earning billions of dollars with their own in-game currency, right? That's also money in a sense. Of course, it's not as broad as money as euros or dollars or something else, but it's there. And the more we start living in those digital worlds or start gaming or whatever, the bigger those currencies will become. And then on the last part of the pyramid, you basically have Bitcoin and open source, decentralized currencies. And I think that's the biggest difference between those other two. There is a central company or a central government who is making the rules and who is saying if we should inflate or deflate, or if we should exclude or include people or countries, right? And that is not possible with Bitcoin. It's open source, it's decentralized, so it's very difficult for one party to change the rules of the game, basically.
At the same time, Philippine, there's a question from a viewer already coming in, and he or she says, isn't the fact that presently relatively few people own the majority of Bitcoin a problem for global adoption? Because you can say it's like a it's democracy, anarchy all the way. It's open source, but at the same time,
for everybody open.
Yeah, but at the same time, there is a little group of people having a lot of power in the Bitcoin world, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, there are some parties owning a lot of Bitcoin, but still, if you want to change something to the protocol, many parties have to agree. So it's not easy for those parties changing.
Okay,
the
really
protocol.
To have power, so to speak.
Yeah.
But coming back to the question, can you compare Bitcoin with, like, the euro, or is it something completely different?
I think you can compare it to the euro. I think it serves, or you can compare it to the same parameters that you would compare normal money to, right? Or if it's easy to take with you, if you can pay others.
Divide it.
Yeah, can divide it. If you can pay others with it, if you can use it as a unit of account, yes or no. So
that's the yes.
So I think it serves the same purpose, but I think the answers differ in a sense, right? So, for instance, a unit of account or the volatility of Bitcoin is higher than euros or dollars.
Look at the last week, right?
So short-term volatility is higher, and then long-term volatility is the other way around, right? So if you look at the purchasing power of the dollar and the euro, it's went down the last 10, 20, 30 years. So but there are also differences, and the biggest difference is that Bitcoin is inherently digital, and Bitcoin doesn't know borders, right? Where traditional fiat currencies, where born in an analog world before the internet, before computers. And they know borders because the dollar is basically the US currency and the euro, and even before that the gulden was a Dutch currency, right? And we have the pound and we have the yen, so they are bound to physical borders.
Yeah, exactly.
But the world is changing to a borderless digital world, so it's very difficult for fiat money to make that jump, and Bitcoin is inherently digital and doesn't know borders, and I think that's one of the other biggest differences.
And that's also very challenging for banks and governments, how to
deal with
these crypto, how to make regulation for that.
Because all regulations won't work.
Yeah.
Because they were based on a principle that is completely different. And so in that regard, it is completely different.
Yeah.
If we're looking at the altcoins, also a topic where there's a lot of discussion about, I think a couple of years ago, there was still a view. Now there are, how much?
Over 20,000.
Over 20,000. First things first, what are altcoins?
Everything that's not Bitcoin. It's the easiest. That's basically what it is. So it started with a couple of Bitcoin forks, basically. So copies of Bitcoin back in the days. Maybe
explain what a fork is for viewers.
A copy, basically. Let's say a copy for now, for time's sake. So you basically say, okay, that's a good project. I want it for myself, and I want to make some small changes. So I copy it, and then it's a new project. And I think the biggest change came when actually someone tried something new, which was Ethereum. I think back in 2014, which was a completely different blockchain than Bitcoin, also a different way of some technological changes that they made that are different. For instance, Bitcoin, the way the ledger works, the blockchain works, is different than for Ethereum, where you can really have an account basically, and for Bitcoin you have a whole bunch of addresses. So that's really it sounds small, but it's really a big thing if you look under the hood. And basically, Ethereum opened the floodgates for all other altcoins.
Based on the Ethereum.
Because they could really easily make their own token on the Ethereum blockchain. And that led to a whole host of other problems, namely a lot of congestion on the Ethereum networks. And that's why some other projects tried to make their own Ethereum, where new projects could... So it's a copy of a copy, and personally, I think I rather stick with Bitcoin at this point. So I think it's basically a different asset class, in my opinion. So of course you can invest in altcoins, and I'm not saying you shouldn't, but it's more like investing in technology startups. And most of the times you have a team, you have a CEO, you have a founder, you have other venture capitalists investing. So it's more comparable to investing in early stages Uber or Airbnb than it's investing in Bitcoin, in my opinion.
Later on, Michaël has some tips, especially around tooling and platforms where you can that you can use to really make a fundamental decision about stuff. But if we're looking at the whole market now, Philippine, how many are there a lot of cowboys running those businesses?
I think especially there are a lot of projects and altcoins that don't have a fundamental business case behind it, but there are also a lot of companies starting in the crypto space. I think in the Netherlands we have quite good rules because the DNB said that if you want to be a crypto service provider, you have to have a good KYC policy.
And AMDAX has that?
Yeah, we were the first company to achieve that. So that means that our board members have been checked, but also all the fiat currency or cryptocurrencies that our investors bring in, we have to check that to see the source of funds.
So you still need to be approved by the old world?
Yeah, we do. But I think that's okay. It is maturing the space. Bigger investor, more serious investors can join.
Klaas is asking a question that I want to attach to our second topic of this session that I want to discuss with you guys, because I of course visited your website, and before I'm going to tell a little bit about it, I want to do the second poll question, and that is this one. And it's It's a yes or no. Oh yeah, there's a third one. I don't know. I always hate, I don't know. The current financial system is on its last legs. What do you say? Agree, don't agree, or I don't know? And I hope that a lot of people choose either one or two, because that's an opinion. It has been stated on your website, I quote, the current financial system is on its last legs. That's a little bit provocative, right?
Yeah, I think what we want to say there is that people should be curious and look into how our monetary system is now organized.
Mm-hmm.
We want people to read up about that. And we think that crypto can definitely, and especially Bitcoin, can definitely help and improve the malfunctions we now have in the system.
But if I say it like really black and white, then I read here that there's no future for traditional banks.
No, that's not what we say. We think traditional banks should or are facing a challenge. Like they already faced the challenge before with the financial crisis. They have to have stronger regulations. Their business models are under pressure. They have tech companies and fintechs challenging them because everybody wants a more digital way of working. And now they also have to have an opinion about blockchain, about crypto. So that's going to be quite a challenge for them to adopt to that. And
some of them will and some of them won't.
Some of them will and some of them won't. You see also like major investment banks like Goldman Sachs first were very hesitative and now already are making statements that they want to do something. Yeah. So I definitely don't think that it's yes or no, but some will make it and some will won't.
Is it also healthy opportunism? If there's money to be made, then we are stepping into it?
For who?
The banks?
Yeah, for commercial. They're called commercial banks for a reason, right? So I don't see why not. And I also think if you look at this question with the current financial system, I think it's also which part are you looking at, right? Because the financial system is a lot of things. First, we have the dollar, that it's been the reserve currency for over 50 years, right? That's quite a long time. I mean, before that was the pound and even the gulden for a small part. They didn't last for hundreds of years. No, so
it's evolution. It's
in the sense that, I mean, we see the situation in Russia evolving, right, where people are threatening with maybe financial sanctions. We have China. The economy is catching up to the US, so maybe there. Digital central bank digital currency will take a piece of the pie. So if that changes, then everything changes. Yeah. So is that our current financial system? Maybe not. But that could be a part of the question, right? And then I agree that I think you like an inherently digital world needs an inherently digital way of transacting, and that could be Bitcoin, but. If a tech company comes up with a fantastic way of transacting digitally, then maybe they will take the piece of the pie. Or maybe from some miracle, the government will come up with a perfect central bank digital currency. Maybe they will be the winner in the end.
Yeah, we don't know where it goes and who will take it, but I do think it will be digital.
That's the conclusion. There are some viewers' questions. I mentioned Klaas already, who had a question. Yeah, here's Klaas.
There he is.
Yeah, thank you, Klaas. Why are the banks so hesitant about the Bitcoin? I asked that you. Are they hesitant to the Bitcoin? And because that's what Klaas says.
Yeah, I think many reasons. First of all, it is not easy to incorporate it in their current way of working. It's also KYC, like know your customer. It asks the banks have a lot of expertise, and I don't know if they have that in house. Like we already have quite intensive crypto compliance, so that means when somebody already owns crypto and they want to send it in to us. So they can make use of our custodian function. or to trade it with us.
And traditional banks have more problems with those kind of processes.
Well, you have to know, like, okay, where did somebody buy it? How did they trade with it?
I had it in my wallet.
I had it
some years
for
ago.
so many years ago, and they all have to set up all these new policies, and then they also have to set up all these custodian functions, have to have that technology, also needs to be able to trade it. You have to have the expertise in-house to maybe do some wealth management or asset management. So it's not just, hey, we start with it today.
Exactly.
And
Yeah,
then
and
you
I
also
think-
have all the regulation.
I think also on top of that, like banks have their hands full on regular KYC and AML, right?
Yeah.
I think the big Dutch banks, they have like a small company doing their compliance checks. I think there are 8,000 people doing those checks for normal checking accounts for our normal euros. And they got fined in a big way, like hundreds of millions of euros a couple of years back. So I think the risk reward there is kind of off a little bit, that they're like, all right, let's fix this first.
Before,
And then maybe let's
Yeah.
go on to crypto and
Yeah.
Bitcoin if enough people want it when we fixed our stuff on normal
So
compliance.
most of our clients are like private bank clients, and they normally first go to their private banker and say, hey, I want to have some crypto in my portfolio. And they have to say, yeah, sorry, but not, we're not doing with that anything. We're not doing with anything with that at the moment. So yeah.
And then they're looking for an alternative, but
And then
has
they
the
come
same
to us,
guarantee and
yeah.
trust, and blah, then they come to AMDAX. Nice commercial. There's a long question here from Fran. I hope I will make it in time to even ask the question. The fact that big players are accumulating a great portion of Bitcoin is not a bad thing per se. The limited amount of Bitcoin makes the disappearing of it from the market an actual advantage. This will make the amount of Bitcoin available even more scarce. Inherently, this will also increase the value of the currency itself. Of course, people will no longer be able to own one Bitcoin, but having 1% would already be enough to make a living with. Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, from an investor's perspective, I mean, let them buy up all the Bitcoins there are. That's good for me because I also have Bitcoin. So if you look at it from an investor, then sure. If you look at Bitcoin from a payment or monetary perspective and you want it to be a currency, then I don't know, you want it at some point to reach some kind of price equilibrium or something, right? That it's not that volatile anymore.
Yeah.
And when people keep seeing it as an investment opportunity, then those two don't really align well. So I think that's difficult, but it makes sense from an investor's perspective for sure.
Listening to you, the viewers have made their judgment on the poll question. The current financial system is on its last legs.
All right.
Yeah, it was more, but now it lowered to a little majority. 53% don't agree.
Yeah.
30% agrees. In the beginning, it was like 70%. Now it's 53%, and 17% don't know. They don't know. 2 questions left in the last 2 minutes. That's not a question, that's more of a statement. So you can say if you agree. That's Antonia. Antonia Eilander says, from legal point of view, virtual currencies are not currencies. They are payment tokens. Smiley. Payment security and utility tokens. Is that right, what she's saying? You nod yes?
It's not a valuta. It's not a currency. So she's right about that.
Depends.
Yeah.
It depends.
Like a lot
If you
of
talk
those tokens, those altcoins that we talked about, the SEC says that they are securities. But for instance, Bitcoin is a legal tender in a country. So does it make that a currency?
Yeah.
Maybe, maybe not.
It's such a difficult ecosystem.
Yeah.
More on that in the next 30 minutes. The last question, and you could say it's a little bit off topic, but at the same time, if you're looking at things like ESG reporting that that a lot of companies have to do, there's a question from Andres Philippe saying, how can we make a difference with Bitcoin and the planet environmental care? How do you look at that?
I think because it's making a difference with Bitcoin, I'm gonna go first answer that. Like, a lot of people don't have access to the financial services. So if you look, for example, in Brazil, people don't have an address, so they can't open a bank account. If you look at countries like El Salvador, where their national currency has a lot of inflation, like Turkey, those Bitcoin is really helping them to store a value, sometimes also have a way to even send it to their families outside of the country. So it's really contributing to a more fair system, I think, which everybody can join. It's not discriminating. But on the other hand, it is very energy-wise. It costs a lot of energy, and then we always go back to the question: like, do you think it's adding something? If you don't think it's adding something to our world, then it's a waste of energy. But if you think Bitcoin really improves our financial system, but also it brings other.
Then it's worth using the energy. But is there a way, because blockchain is so clever and everybody working, all the experts are so smart, isn't there something to invent that we can create this with less energy?
Not yet.
Not yet.
No, there are.
That's algorithm, software, techie thing.
No, I mean there are initiatives. Actually, Ethereum is in the midst of changing their consensus algorithm from proof of work, which uses energy, to proof of stake, which uses money basically. Who has most money gets the biggest stake and gets to validate new blocks or produce new blocks. And we don't know if that's capable of replacing proof of work. And if it is, and we know in 5 or 10 years, then probably Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies can shift as well.
Yeah, okay. That's a positive view to the future.
Yeah.
Before I say goodbye to both of you, I have a third poll question that I want to ask you. If we're going to look at the second guest, the third guest, the second part of this talk show, do you invest in cryptocurrency yourself? Is that 1, yes, heavily, 2, a little bit, 3, no way, and 4, thinking about it? And I'm really curious about the answer, and we're going to see them in the next block in 30 seconds from now, because Philipine and Bart, this was already, your time's up. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for all your insights and your information, and see you next time. Thank you very much. In 30 seconds, we're back with Michaël van der Poppe. And welcome back. And with me, Michaël van der Poppe. Michaël, warm welcome.
Thank you.
What do you do for a living?
I trade crypto. That's essentially what I'm doing.
Yeah. So how was your last week?
Quite hectic.
Yeah?
Last night was quite eventful. I went live on YouTube actually to cover everything with the Fed meeting. Jerome Powell was speaking. And that was a big event, and maybe you can see it, but I'm a little bit tired.
You didn't sleep a lot of hours.
No.
But did you lose a lot of money last week?
Paper losses, right? If you don't sell, then
you
don't have a loss.
Yeah. So
no, but it's in the end, it's I've been in this market quite for some time, so it's not really losses. It is just less profit. Let's put it that way. Okay,
we're going to learn a lot of you in the next 30 minutes. Let's first start with the results of the poll question. Do you invest in cryptocurrency yourself? 1/3 of the viewers says yes, heavily. Another 1/3 says a little bit. 2% says no way. That's logical, otherwise they don't watch this webinar, of course. And 36%, so it's divided, is thinking about it. I have a next poll question that I want to ask you viewers, and that is this one. That's if you look at the market, how do you do that? Do you look at it mostly emotional, mostly rational, or do you have the perfect mix of both? Michael, because if I go one slide back, this is what we're going to cover in the next 25 minutes. We're going to look at the market. You have some tips and tricks, tooling kind of stuff. If we want to start investing, where do we look at? And maybe if there's time left, I want to have your vision on NFTs.
I've got my concerns about the time.
Yeah. So if we're looking at the market, it is very emotional driven, right? Is that a bad or a good thing, or how do you look at that?
Well, it's a speculative market in which retail is actually it's a retail market, so emotions are taking over, and institutional investors make a rational decision, while you and I are mostly doing it because X or I is saying something about it. So what we see in the crypto market is volatility is quite high. It's an illiquid market, which has also been addressed in the previous part. And because of that, volatility is still quite high. And that's because the volatility is quite high, emotions are heavy. And we can see it in the past 2 months. Like 2 months ago, Bitcoin was standing at 69K and we had a new all-time high. And now Bitcoin is at 35K.
Yeah.
And people are completely destroyed with their sentiment. So it's a tricky market. It's a very young market. And over time, the volatility will drain away because of money coming into the market. But right now, mostly decisions are made by emotions.
The viewers don't completely agree, as least they think.
Smart viewers.
Yeah, about 60% says mostly rational, and only 11% says mostly emotional, and 30% they have the perfect mix of both.
Well, they should be great traders then.
Yeah, yeah. Then maybe you cannot learn them anything, but I think you can. If we're looking at the market, that was this slide still. No, this slide. We're going to look at the tools to use, and later on we're going to dive in depth. But if you guide us through some tools that are good to at least know that they are there and how we can use them.
Like essentially, if you want to start in the cryptocurrency markets, you have to get data to actually understand what you're doing and what the value of a crypto is. That's what we're seeking for. That's what we wanted to achieve in the past years. Since in 2017, you couldn't value any crypto at all. You were saying, okay, 1 Bitcoin is this value, so what does it represent? So that's why new data has been created to actually value a crypto. That can be done through on-chain analysis. Then you're really looking into the blockchain itself, and that's what we're going to dive into, what you can see on the screen too.
Yeah.
But you can also actually start calculating the revenue of an actual project. And that is something that is essential to understand if you want to start investing into crypto.
Okay, we're going to dive into that one. And the last thing is the fear and greed. That's a tool also where you can take a look at, right?
It's also in the equity markets. It's fun to watch, but it combines the price action with sentiment and also what is being said on social media. In the past weeks. It's a value between 0 and 100.
And last week?
It was like 12. And that is fear.
Yeah.
And when it's at like 80 or 100 or in that range, it's greed. But the funny part is people want to sell during fear and want to buy during greed.
You should do it the other way around. But is that one simple rule that you can use as an investor?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, really?
Yeah, buy low, sell high. But when is it low, when is it high? That's the question. But that's why you use those tools.
Yeah, exactly. So if we want to start investing, or if people are already investing right now and want to do it in a better way, this is the things we're going to talk about, where to start. And let's dive into the first one. That is understanding, and you already mentioned a little bit, understanding all the project. This slide looks a little bit complex. Can you elaborate on this one?
Well, first, if you want to start into and you want to invest into crypto or in any asset, you have to understand what it's about. So you should be able to explain to your parents or to anyone who doesn't know anything about crypto what Bitcoin and Ethereum actually is. And that's a very tricky one, but that's a start-off point. And then when you start to understand that, you can start understanding how the ecosystem actually works. So right now we've got all small villages, and all those villages have all projects being built on. So a village has a bakery or a dentist. Everything is being built into that ecosystem. Ethereum is one village, but you've got all those small ones aside, and they all need those projects. But if you want to invest, for instance, into a dentist of a village, you actually have to understand whether the village works itself and has people living there.
That's a layer principle.
That's the layer principle. Yeah. So if you want to invest into a project being built onto something, you have to figure out whether that platform actually works.
And in fact, you can say that Ethereum is in the village, but it's a big city, and all the other ones are small villages, right?
That's right now, because Ethereum was the first one, and now there are different solutions coming around because Ethereum has some issues with scalability. And that's why it's becoming a little bit more complex. But that ecosystem and making that simple for yourself is already a key trigger.
And what can CoinGecko do for you if you're looking for information?
Well, you've got two plain sites, CoinGecko and CoinMarketCap, and they are both giving you a list of coins with the valuation of them. Yeah. But you can also find the category to which a project belongs. So if you're looking for a platform like Ethereum, you can just click on the project itself on CoinGecko or CoinMarketCap, and there's just standing. And when you click a little bit further, you can see all the projects that are listed or that are built on that platform. And so it works with all the layer ones or all the platforms.
And how do you look on a daily basis probably to those tools? With what are the questions in your mind that you want to get answered?
Well, I'm mostly looking at price action. So the simple tools like CoinMarketCap or CoinGecko, I'm not using too much. Well, I'm more or less like a nerd watching the prices. That's what I do. But this is a cool metric for me to see what the valuation of a platform is towards its other competitor.
Yeah.
So if I know which platforms are built in the ecosystem, I can see, okay, this one is valued at 300 billion, this one at 10 billion. And then you can see the comparison if you look at the next tools that we're going to discuss. So
Okay, and the tooling that you use only to watch the prices, what kind of tool do you use?
TradingView.
Okay.
It's a very simple one. You can get all the data. You can get the equities data. You can get the crypto data. And if you want to start painting beautiful lines on it, or if you want to see where you should be buying through price action, that is going to be the go-to place.
I don't know where it fits in, but you're talking about the lines and the graphs, and we had a conversation before with the live webinar. You were talking about the colors.
Yeah.
Can we mention that?
Yeah,
that's a good tip.
If you want to start trading, usually what you see is green and red, right? Red is a negative candle.
Bad news.
Bad news.
Yeah.
Green is when it goes up.
Yeah.
If you have those colors, your mind already makes or gives a response to the color itself. If you are, just driving your car, if you see a green light, you know you can pass on.
Yeah.
If you see a red light, you have to stop. The same works with trading. If you see a red candle, you automatically think, I have to sell. So what you should be doing, what I've been doing, is adjusting the colors to gray and black, because then you don't have that automatic reaction.
The data becomes neutral.
Yes, that's what you want to do. That's why you should be keeping it simple for yourself as well. Like neutral and just organic, looking at data instead of involving all the other stuff that you don't need.
If we're talking about finding the right information, the right sources to find your information, if you want to do clever investing and stuff like that, then also like social media is being used a lot. If you're looking at yourself, you have, what is it, more than 500,000 followers on Twitter?
Yeah.
That's the main thing, Twitter, right? For you kind of people. You hang around on Twitter continuously.
Yeah, it's from the equities markets, but Twitter is the go-to medium if you want to hear everything, yeah.
If you want to have it fast and real time, so to speak.
Mm.
So you have a lot of followers. That becomes a business model on its own or not? Because YouTube also 160,000?
Actually, I've built a company out of the social media following that I have.
Yeah.
So it becomes a business model.
And so from your point of view, I see the opportunity and the advantages and and everything. But if we're looking at investment, is it a good thing to follow you and just do what you do?
No. I mean, what we do is we give our own view on the markets.
You don't give advice?
No, we don't give financial advice. And if you want to adapt towards that strategy, you can use it as analysis to just implement in your own strategy. So everything that you see on social media, you should use as a navigator for your own analysis. You make one strategy, and if you reflect that to someone else's, you can see, hey, he's doing this, he was wrong, he was right, and then you start learning. But it's hard for new people to realize or see what is good or bad on social media.
Yeah.
Because
which person can I trust and which one?
Yeah, they don't know. So it's up to us to actually provide decent content. But like if you go to social media, 90% is garbage.
Yeah, it can be a child from 8 years old
It's also like you hear a project being promoted on YouTube or Twitter, and in the end you lose 90% of the money because the one saying something about it dumped on you.
But what's your tip if I want to use, because it is at the same time, it's a big source for information. So how can I use it in a proper way that I follow the right people?
We will find out quite fast. You can see on the content itself. If you're on YouTube and you see someone with his mouth open in the thumbnail, avoid.
Yeah, with big font screaming payoff.
No, but it's a great place to find info.
Then the click-through is high.
Yeah.
What kind of thumbnails do you use then?
Like not my face.
Not your face.
No, just stock pics.
Yeah.
But it's also clickbait. But I have to do it. But
so people that are like In the thumbnail?
Never check them.
Okay.
But yeah, just be critical on everything that you see. But it's
Okay.
hard.
Okay. Those are not foxes, right? Those are dogs.
No, that's the Shiba Inu.
Yeah, you even know what kind of
No,
dog.
I mean with these two, make a justifiable decision is the left one is Ethereum, that's actually building an ecosystem. The right one is Dogecoin and Shiba Inu. You can make money with memes or scams, but in the long run, they will go to zero.
Is it like a pyramid game? Those
Most
kind
of them are, yeah.
Yeah, and how do I recognize the pyramid games from the nice bakeries or dentists or other shops that are built on Ethereum? Or
Well, if they are going to be pushed by influencers out of nowhere, you already know that they've bought in quite early. You can see it in the tokenomics as well. That's going way too deep, but you can see the distribution of the token.
yeah,
And if the starters or the influencers have the availability to sell it quite fast after it got released, they just try to push it up and then they dump on you.
and you can find that information.
Yeah, it should be public if you have a project. You just have a white paper and you can check the tokenomics, and there it should be standard.
Yeah, but a lot of those scams don't even have white papers.
No, so then you shouldn't be investing in them.
It's getting more simple. Klaas has a question. Do you believe in the stop flow model? First
Stop
of
the
all,
flow model.
yeah, all the people that are watching and just as me don't know what the stop the flow model is.
It's a very simple concept about supply and demand, created by a Dutchman from the banking sector, Plan B. I don't know his real name, but he's Dutch. The stock-to-flow model is right now wrong, but I do understand and see the concept of it as it's being used in gold too. However, the simplicity of the model doesn't work anymore, as there are other variables currently to take into account. For instance, macroeconomics, for like the Fed yesterday, and the actions they do. There are just too many variables to take into account, so a simple stock-to-flow model with supply and demand doesn't work. That's how I see it.
Okay. And if there are any more questions to Michaël, we still have about 15 minutes left, so ask all the questions that you would like to ask. Looking at this slide, and yeah, the main question is how can we use data? Because data is, I think that's the gold mine for you, right? To do proper business.
Yeah.
To have the right data. Explain.
Well, the edge is that you try to find projects that are undervalued towards the other one, and then you got an investment thesis, and that's what we try to do, and that's what I'm trying to do on a daily basis. And how do you do that? Well, we just discussed small villages,
Yeah.
right? So right now we've got Ethereum. It is a village, but it has an issue. It doesn't work. They cannot be living in more people than currently.
They are full.
Yeah, so they have to move, just like the Netherlands. So there are all small villages right now being created, and they try to fix the issue that Ethereum has. But they are quite new, just like Ethereum was in 2016. But how do you value them? You're going to compare the actual revenue or users or people living in that village to see how big the city is going to become. So what do you do with a project or a layer one? You're going to check the transactions, you're going to track the revenue or the users on the platform itself. And what you can see with Avalanche, that's the upper picture on the screen, the transactions are just as close as Ethereum at this point. They are having 84-85% of transactions on a daily basis. But the valuation of Avalanche is like 15 billion and Ethereum is about 350 billion.
Yeah.
So that's how you can start understanding data that everyone can get to make a proper decision.
That means that almost sounds like an advice pro Avalanche, or again, no.
Not
advice.
financial advice. No, I'm just giving it as an example, and that's how I try to digest every information that I can get.
Are there more metrics that you get out of data that are relevant for you, where you focus on, besides this one?
Well, if you are looking from an investment perspective, I think these type of data will make more sense than actually looking at it from price action. Because if you're looking at it from a trade perspective, you're just saying, okay, I buy here, I sell there. But if you want to look at a project fundamentally for an investment thesis, you will be long gone as a trader. So you have to find out whether the value lies into the users or in the village itself. And then you keep on holding to it.
Mm-hmm.
Because some of those projects go 100x, 200x within a year. If you are having the trading mindset, you will be out. But if you want to invest, you need to use this data to actually see why it's running so heavy.
Interesting. There are some questions. Aram is asking, what's your view for Bitcoin for the next years? Why do CTs keep mentioning 100K? Looks like the bear market seems so close now.
Goes up or down? No. I think Bitcoin will continue to rise. However, we are in a situation right now which is full of uncertainty, and we're going to hike the interest rate. So at some point in time, we're going to face the big crisis that some people are saying will happen. I think it will.
Yeah.
And then crypto will have a hard period, but after that, it will become even bigger than it was right now, or than it is right now, because of the uncertainty lying in society. It's kind of similar to what we have seen in 1929. I don't want to become ultimately depressed, but 1929, we've seen the markets go up heavily, and then the big crash happened. In that period, gold crashed too. But after that, we've had 10 years of serious uncertainty in society, and gold started to rush up. That is what I see happening right now. Yes, we could see Bitcoin going to 100, 200, 300K within the next year because of adoption. But after that, a big crisis will happen, and also Bitcoin will go down, and then the real adoption starts to kick in.
So if I want to be a defensive investor, I just have to close my wallet and look back in 5 years from now?
If you're an investor, that's the best way to go for you. And have gold. But that's financial advice.
Why have gold?
That's
This is a crypto webinar.
If you look at the past months, gold has been flat.
Mm.
It's acting the best at this point. In times of uncertainty, Bitcoin just reacts like the equity markets.
Yeah.
Until it doesn't, and right now it still does. So it has to decouple still. And that's going to happen if a real crisis starts to happen. People start to adopt or have to adopt towards another currency than the one they have, like we are seeing in El Salvador, like we are seeing in Turkey. All those communities are quite big because of the high inflation that their countries have, so they adapt towards something else.
Yeah, but at the same time, that's not a fundamental model for now, because I read today that also in El Salvador there's a lot of discussion about the fact that Bitcoin is so heavily adopted.
Yeah, and that will continue to do so to happen, as it's a very new legal tender.
In the first part of this webinar, we talked about regulation stuff and traditional banking. What do you think of merging, like maybe it's, the old world and the new world? Do they have to cooperate together, or don't, or how do you see that?
In the end, they have to, as if we don't get regulation, we can't have proper adoption. So if we really want to use crypto in our day-to-day life, we have to connect. However, it's actually already happening. I mean, banks are trying to create a stable coin themselves. Mm-hmm. So a digital USD or digital euro, that's already happening. We can have all sorts of metaverse or virtual reality stuff happening too. So it's already taking place. And you can already buy something at the Albert Heijn with a crypto debit card. That's also still possible. They don't see that you have crypto. They deduct euro, but it's from your crypto bank account. That's already a solution right now. So it's taking place. But the question is whether financially the solution will be created within crypto or in connection with banks. Because within crypto, we can just recreate what the banks have been creating, but then do better.
Yeah. In what way, Robert is asking, crypto or CDBCs can be the future of payment? Well, it is already. Again, the price of milk will be different every day, but it has advantages for governments to track the digital money. But what to the people who don't have, want or have access to digital wallets? Elder people, also young, who sees it as a scam. How do you see that?
At some point, we will have digital money, and they're just trying to find solutions for that issue. So inevitably, everyone will be using digital money. And if we can, like governments want to create a digital wallet that everyone can use, so we can all get money airdropped in that wallet through digital money, which is, in the end, probably UBI, Universal Basic Income. The easiest way to do that is just to drop money into people's wallets so they can use it. So that is already being explored, and most likely we'll get there too.
Do governments understand this?
They are
not that brilliant in doing IT projects.
No, that's true. Well, they are exploring any ideas of stable coins and CBDCs and central bank digital currencies.
Mm-hmm.
So they are working on this, and the actual solution is to create all that part, like other people getting it airdropped. How, we still have to figure out, but we're in early days with that.
Do they ask you already for help?
No, I'm a trader.
Is Bitcoin the new gold on the long term? Peter asks. I think based on your positive story
potentially
about
it could be. It's gold is the closest option to sound money, hard money, and Bitcoin could be a better version of gold because you can transfer it from A to Z or from A to B. You don't have to carry it around. There are all sorts of solutions with that. So definitely, I agree that it's closer to sound money than gold is.
It's a lot of could be, yeah.
It is, yeah, but that's definitely that's what we are currently. Like, you can't say for 100%, yes, this is going to happen. I would love to, but it's still premature.
Yeah, we have some slides and some questions. Let's wrap up with some slides. We still have left. This is about price analysis. Yeah, I think we already discussed it a little bit about the fact that people want to buy when the prices are high and nobody wants to buy when the prices
That's
are
right
low.
now the case.
Yeah, so
People were eager to buy at 60K, but now and they wanted to buy on the dip, and now the price is dipping, so they want to buy lower.
what did you do last week?
I've been buying, but I also kept my positions going already because I've got some passive income out of it. But I'm definitely looking to expand my positions in the coming period. But I'm keeping it calm because of all the uncertainties with Russia and Ukraine, the Fed and all that stuff. I just want to see confirmation.
Are you a defensive investor or really do you love the challenge?
I'm still young. I don't have a family, not yet.
Working on it?
Well, ask her. But
there is a
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I want to have additional confirmation, but because I'm young, I can take more risk than someone having a family. So if you have a family or you have responsibilities, then you're probably only looking at Bitcoin, and I'm looking at special altcoins and investments and stuff.
So are you transparent about your portfolio, what you're doing, or?
Yeah, we are. We've got I share it in our company. I share a example portfolio, and we're going to share even more on that because I find that important to share. Yeah,
because people think Michaël van der Poppe is just one person, but you have a company, right, with about how many people?
16, 17, and we're expanding to 22, 23 in the coming months.
And what kind of expertise you're looking for?
All sorts. Fundamental analysts, technical analysts, marketing people, all sorts.
And the B-hack on the long term, what is it? Is it you want to sell to a big company? You want to be the biggest yourself?
I don't want to sell it at all. I just want to dominate the market.
We've got some questions. Oh, yeah, let's do some slides. This is. Do you believe in the quote of this big guy?
Yes, I do. It's funny. I get the question quite often. Like, are you getting stressed out of the markets? But at this point, I'm not getting stressed out of the markets. I'm getting stressed out of people asking me if I get stressed out. That's the point right now. I've had sleepless nights when the market crashed in 2018 and 2019. But at some point, you have to shut off the emotions. That it's just. You're just making risk adjustments and strategical based decisions, and that is how you should look at it.
This is some kind of this is a little bit of a summary of the list, maybe a good list to walk through in a fast way. So can you wrap this one up? Which tool for what?
The first one is if you understand Bitcoin and Ethereum, you go to CoinMarketCap for actually seeing which projects are quite large. So if you want to start. The top 10 are the coins you first have to go through. Then if you want to use price analysis like I do on a daily basis, then you have to check TradingView. Fear and Greed is great for seeing how the sentiment is.
Yeah.
We all know what it is right now.
Yeah.
And the last one, if you want to dive into it in a more investment way or deeper, then you can check on-chain data and start checking them for yourself if you find projects that are undervalued or not. And if you find one, you can always send me a DM.
There are on Twitter, that means DM. There are a lot of tools, right? Besides these are just examples. But if you're looking at all the tools, there are a lot of other tools that do kind of the same thing.
Correct.
Do you use a lot of money on a monthly basis for tooling?
Well, Glassnode is the most expensive one. You have a pretty... Well, actually, we are paying a lot. if I think about it. But that's the disadvantage of this market. If you want to get data, you have to pay for it. And with Glassnode, you can get data. However, it's not on the moment. So you have a delay of like 2 hours if you have the cheap option. If you want to have the correct one and on data that you can use within seconds, you have to pay like €1,000 a month.
Oh, but it can.
But you can pack that and use the data for your clients if they don't have the time or availability to.
Okay. We have some questions, and then after the last questions, I want to have your complete vision on NFTs, because that's the last subject we want to discuss in the last couple of minutes. But some questions left. There is already. I will save Bart for last. Somebody called JKKKK asked a question. For ethical reasons, the Fed members sold all their equities exactly at the top of Fibonacci extension 412. Now they are pushing to ban trade. Yeah, you know what he means. Now they are pushing to ban trading for Congress, and if this will pass anytime soon, would you consider this to be the end of the cycle and crashing in one of the most crazy crises the human being ever experienced?
Timing a crisis is quite difficult. We're getting close to the end game. I agree on that. And it's funny. What he says is, if you go back in time, the actual top on the equity markets was on the day that the Fed announced that they will not be trading themselves anymore, so they sold all their stock. So you can say whatever you want to say about that, but it's kind of weird, right?
Yeah.
But all the Fibonacci stuff, we just leave it behind for now.
How can we implant Bitcoin in our business cash position and reserve? Are there rules for companies who will do that in Holland?
Well, actually, if you want to have more information about that, you can do that. But I guess the go-to place is AMDAX.
Okay.
They're actually trying to do that with their clients.
And AMDAX is Philippine for
Exactly.
people watching. Do you trade spot or derivatives or both? Les McKenzie is asking.
I'm trading mostly on spot. Simple. I'm working like 80 to 100 hours a week, so I don't have the time to focus all the time on the charts. And if you want to trade derivatives, you have to. That's with leverage.
Mm-hmm.
So then the risk increases as well. I don't have the time to do that, and I can't really share that in my company, as I don't advise anyone to do it. Only very experienced traders should be doing it.
That was a question from Les. And then the last question is Bartje Boef is asking, will the NFT market crash once the crypto market is getting really bullish? NFTs, for the people that still think a little bit like, okay, I heard a lot about it. These are NFTs, right?
Yep, non-fungible tokens, unique certificates for digital ownership of a digital asset.
Yeah.
And the left one you can see on the screen is a CryptoPunk. That was one of the first real NFT hypes that we had.
It's about 100 pixels, right?
Yep, it's a JPEG, but that left one is sold for $7.5 million USD. And the right one is Bored Ape, and Neymar bought that one like a week ago, which is essentially the same as the left one, but then just a different picture, right?
Yeah.
But with that one, you can go to special events. You can show that, hey, I've got this one, and then you can meet the other ones that also have a Bored Ape, so Martin Garrix and some other ones.
But it's like it's a nice looking QR code then. Or what?
Actually, it is, yeah.
Uh-huh. So leaves us to the question: is it the bubble or is it the next big thing?
Well, the NFTs right now with all those pictures are 99% going to zero. The first things you're going to sell when the crisis happens are these things.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't make sense. But the underlying technology is going to be the next layer on blockchain. Like if you have a painting or if you have real estate that you can pack into DeFi and you can show, hey, I own a part of this real estate building, or hey, I own this painting, you can use that to actually get a loan or whatever. Right now it's impossible to do so.
Mm-hmm.
But also if people are watching towards this live stream, you can give them a reward in return. And with that reward, you can go to an event or you can do whatever you want.
Mm.
So almost everything that's not valuable right now becomes valuable. So that NFT layer is going to be big. And the right one you can see on the screen is an artist who released his album through an NFT. Tree Lau is his name. That is what's currently being built on, but everyone sees those pictures alone.
Mm.
But the underlying technology is going to be big.
Do you, at the Dutch crypto conference, it was said that 95% of the NFTs will die. Do you feel like that as well? Antonia is asking. Yeah, well,
I make it 99.5.
Yeah, the NFTs as we know them now.
The JPEGs, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But the underlying, so the JPEGs, are they a scam then? Because there
Most
are some.
of them are, but
yeah.
some are actually like the Bored Ape. They have a utility. You can go to events
Yeah.
and you can show your ape and then you can get an entrance. But most of them don't have any utility at all. And when they don't have a utility, they are only created to make money for the actual creator.
Yeah.
Or some people that want to trade those.
Yeah.
So in the end, they will just disappear. Like after the 2017 bubble, most of the altcoins disappeared too.
Yeah. The ICO hype that
Yeah,
was.
it's the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
Actually, it's the same.
Last slide, Michaël. The focus for 22.
Yep. Well, the first one is actually the creation of financial instruments for institutions to trade Bitcoin, like ETF or anything related to that. The second one, well, the first one is going to be a trigger for the rest. But decentralized finance had a big wave in 2020, just like NFT has it right now. And now the second wave is starting off a little bit. So that's going to be something to keep an eye on. And the NFTs, well, that is something to still keep an eye on, but not
Because
on
of the because of the underlying principle.
You don't know how fast technology is going to advance, but because of the fast adoption of all those new technologies, it might be this year that the underlying layer is actually going to adapt and become the second layer of DeFi.
And they have huge business opportunities if you start brainstorming about using those NFTs.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the last one.
What's DAO?
DAOs.
DAOs, decentralized autonomous organizations.
Yes, that is currently getting way more hype. You can see it on the screen. On the left, you can see the traditional organization of a company with all those layers.
Yeah.
And on the right, it's completely decentralized. But I think it's good to leave that towards the viewers to start Googling.
But are you already working on that kind of an organization yourself?
It's impossible to do so.
Because?
People are lazy. So you have to actually be a little bit of a boss and stuff. So you need the hierarchy, right?
Yeah.
So no, I'm not a...
Still too early.
Still too early.
It's a future organization model.
Maybe, but for my company, it will not be the case.
Okay. Michaël van der Poppe, thank you very much for all your insights and all your information. And Antonia says, thanks to all the speakers for today. I appreciate it.
So, well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Antonia. Thank you, Michaël, and thank you very much for watching. And a special thank you to World Trade Center Amsterdam Business Club, and of course the Social Club, and especially to Godfried Schulvink. Godfried, thank you very much for designing the whole concept of this crypto webinar. And after me saying goodbye, please take a look at the survey at your right, at the right side of the screen. You see a survey button. It takes you a couple of seconds to fill it in, and the organization will be very happy to get the feedback from you. For now, thank you very much for watching. Bye.